Hello, CI community. Jeff Kurdakis coming here on what I find is a really particularly interesting time in the market right now. We have had a little bit of a rally since that big dip, kind of down to 9,500 on Bitcoin. And since then, we've been starting to see some alts start to take a little bit of a runway away from Bitcoin. And this has just been really preemptive right now. But I'm feeling that this is the start of potentially what everyone refers to as alt season. So let me pull up the chart here. Here's coin market cap. All right, here we go. So not too much on the top ones, but these like mid-level alts, I mean, Bitcoin SV having a little bit of action, but it's starting to get this flavor. It wasn't not so much the last 24 hours, but particularly in the last few days, we've started to see alts start to take a movement forwards. And it's starting to beg the question, okay, so is the hedge right now mainly to be made in Bitcoin or is it in altcoins? Right now, if you look at the global or the percent market cap dominance of Bitcoin, we're sitting around 65.5%. So that's not levels since we've seen since, let me see here, March and April of 2017. And back in 2017 and this time, we didn't have an explosion of ICO projects. This came a little bit later on. And so it's absolutely astounding to think that right now we have this explosion in Bitcoin dominance when there's so many projects really coming into the space. And now a lot of these projects aren't going to be around forever, that's for sure. A lot of them are super low quality. But the thing is that there are a lot that are entering the space that are quite high quality, and that the Bitcoin dominance is still extraordinarily high. I think a lot of people find value in Bitcoin in that it's the king of crypto for a few reasons. It's been the longest running cryptocurrency, obviously, and has the most gateways to onboard and on ramps and off ramps into this cryptocurrency. A third reason, though, that I find is really interesting is that Bitcoin is one of two coins that has been legally deemed not a security by the SEC. And there's only one other cryptocurrency that's been deemed not a security, or sorry, yeah, not a security by the SEC, and that's Ethereum. And interestingly, when you look at Ethereum, I'll pull that chart up right now. Let me see here. Getting used to this software. Where are we at? I think it was on this CoinGecko chart. So Ethereum's all-time high against Bitcoin was sitting at around 0.14. Right now we're sitting at 0.02. So we're about 7x away from Bitcoin's all-time high. Now, I definitely agree that there is a lot of shitcoins out there, a lot of projects that are going to die, a lot of projects built on Ethereum that are just not going to withstand the test of time. However, there are a lot of projects built on Ethereum, and Ethereum has a mass utility. It's the number 2 cryptocurrency right now. It's not going anywhere. And I think that this is such a blatant move to be hedged in Ethereum. If you're a Bitcoin maximalist and you're looking to stack Satoshis, I don't see a clearer move than this. And we can even look at the volume here. Comparing to the bubble times of 2017, the volume is so extraordinarily low compared to now. I mean, granted, there's a lot of fake trading and wash trading going on, but the interest is there. And if you check it out on Google Trends, let me see here. Google Trends. This was interesting as well. If you compare Google Trends, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, in the last little while, the interest on, I'll look them both up here so you can see the difference. On Ethereum, on a global scale, I'll check it out on the yearly, past 12 months, here we go. So it's absolutely skyrocketing. So this is, in the United States, the highest the search interest has ever been for Ethereum. If we check this out on a worldwide scale, it's even more pronounced. So back in August was when we were at 50% capacity, what we currently are right now. So that's interesting. So the search results on Ethereum are really skyrocketing. And if anyone, this is just one indicator, obviously, but if anyone kind of watches Google Trends, you'll see that this is really an indicator that there's going to be some price breakouts happening. This happened in 2017. Alice comments, tell me alts are going to break out. I'm not 100% sure, but I am pretty hedged in Ethereum right now. That's for sure. Alex says, ETH and Bitcoin is where I got my hundreds of thousands of monies. Yeah, but alts can still lost more value for sure. And so this is the thing, a lot of these altcoins are kind of sitting at the exact same spot. They all had that dead curve. They're all just straight dead. Let's just cruise to any old altcoin. Let's go to 0x, and they're all going to follow the same chart. They'll have that big spike in 2017, and then they all peter out. And the majority of them are like this. They're just dead, flatlined, and some of them are going to recover and some of them won't. Like District 0x, I think that's a super cool use case. Just like having digital land in VR, I think that's very, very interesting and has lots of value. But nothing can compare to Ethereum or these smart contract provider platforms that really have a stranglehold or a lead in the industry. Something that I find that's very valuable is that Ethereum, like I said, has been legally deemed not a security by the SEC. And the US is starting to get really strict on cryptocurrencies. And, the US doesn't move the world, but it certainly has an influence. You're already seeing it crack down on Binance exchange. So Binance, largest crypto exchange in the world, it makes more money than the German bank. And they've had to close down their US branch so they could then reopen to be legally compliant. So the US has a lot of power, and for Ethereum to be the only cryptocurrency besides Bitcoin to be deemed not a security, I feel there's a lot of potential there for it to start being this main onboarding, offboarding ramp as more adoption comes in, more ease of use in the communities to do. Alex says, all in the comments, Alex, the real question is, will most of these alts really ever recover to those all-time highs? And I think that's a great question. Like I said, definitely not all of them. And you could even look at some of the all right ones. Like I think Ethereum will definitely surpass its all-time highs against Bitcoin. Maybe that's a bold statement to make. But, for these coins that are a lot less optimal, let's say the budget coins, as they call it in CCT, we're the two things. Number one, we're a lot smarter now. So we're not going to be buying these coins that we intrinsically know have little value, that they're just based on hype. For sure, there's greed in the market and people are going to buy based on hype, and that's going to ride up. But the reality is a lot of us are holding some pretty heavy bags from 2017 that are down about 95%. And a lot of us are going to be very happy if that 95% down goes to 50% down, because that's going to equate to like a 10x, 20x. I don't really know the exact math there. So people are ready to offload. Moving back to the Google Trends chart here, yeah, just to compare Ethereum and Bitcoin, find it super interesting. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is also, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to zoom in here. That's the past 12 months. Last time I checked, it was actually much less pronounced than this. All right, maybe I'll just take out Ethereum. It's kind of tough to see here because we saw that massive spike in Ethereum at the very end there, and we're not. What I'm trying to illustrate, here we go. So this is the 30 days. So we're not seeing that on Bitcoin at all. There's no peak interest in Bitcoin happening. There's no strange explosion happening. There's a gradual increase, which is always nice to see, and a good precursor for price growth. And that's obviously this is just retail money, obviously, all these charts here. This isn't even institutional money. But everyone says institutions are coming. The institutions who want to come, they're already here. We have Fidelity. They're opening up their crypto, access to their clients to be able to invest in crypto. And I think that's going to be a huge explosion, as that's coming very, very soon. But a lot of these institutions, they're already here, the ones that are interested. And so it'll be a slow roll for more of them to get in, but I don't think there's going to be this one big explosive event. It'll be in tandem with retail. Right, Mike Rao, he says, the race to catch or pass Ethereum by Tron, EOS, and others will be interesting if Ethereum doesn't fix their scaling issues. And that's a really good point. Ethereum has been working super hard to get Ethereum 2.0 rolled out. And when was that original launch date supposed to be? Like years ago, and still absolutely nothing. So will it work? they're essentially rebuilding the entire platform, which is risky to say the least. It's a whole new consensus model. But they've been spending a lot of time on it. And if there's ever, if you're going to place the trust in a team, it's the Ethereum team. Even though recently when they rolled out with that last upgrade, there was a third party that found a mass security flaw before 24 hours of their launch. They're like, hey, we're going to, I forget what the upgrade was, but they were announcing this upgrade and they were launching it to the world. And then a third party came in 24 hours before launch and they said, hey, there's a massive security flaw here where it was I think it was vulnerable to a double spend. So you could just spend by kind of, there was some kind of vulnerability. I forget the exact details, but just ridiculous. So, I mean, number 2 cryptocurrency in the world, market cap massive in the billions, and still security flaws. Who knows what's going to be happening here? Rolling through the comments. I'm trying to find a way that I can just kind of watch the comments roll in. And I think another good point to make about, the different smart contract platforms is, let's take Bitcoin, for example. Bitcoin does not have the best tech by any stretch of the imagination, yet it still remains as the number 1 cryptocurrency. A lot of people see it as a digital store of value. It was originally designed as a peer-to-peer payment system. It's definitely not working as a peer-to-peer payment system. Doesn't matter how maximalist you are, it's not a coffee buying currency yet, and the Lightning Network is not quite there. It's growing, but there are some issues with it. There was a video, actually, I should put it up in the group. It was comparing how to install the Lightning Network node and pay with Lightning Network versus paying with Nano, and it was absolutely comical. The guy was able to do it on Nano within 30 seconds. Lightning Network took him 10 minutes of work. So we're not there yet with Bitcoin. And so this is kind of like a big metaphor. What I'm saying is Bitcoin's tech is not the best by far. And so in comparison, Ethereum's tech isn't the best by far. Maybe it will upgrade with 2.0. Who knows? We'll see. Everyone has their fingers crossed. But even if these platforms like EOS or Tron or whatever, they have, let's say, better tech, a lot of people don't necessarily care. That first mover advantage right now is playing so big into this space. And the fact that Ethereum has been deemed not a security by the US regulators is absolutely huge, because that allows them to have an ample more amount of opportunity on different platforms where you can buy and sell crypto. Because let's say you run or own an application, you can't buy or sell securities on that application, but you would be able to buy and sell Bitcoin or Ethereum. So that means that all these apps are going to start rolling out, or the apps that are already in existence, if regulators start coming down on these other coins, they'll have to take them off. And that's what you're seeing happen, like I said, with Binance. So very interesting dynamic happening right now. Back to the comments. Neo estimated price in May 2020. Who knows? Nobody knows. I don't even know what Bitcoin is going to be tomorrow. I think that's the funniest thing, is no one knows what everyone pretends they do. I think in the long term, we can all agree that distributed ledger technology is going absolutely nowhere. But who knows with everything else? Even blockchain itself may become outdated very fast. We have different consensus mechanisms. IOTA uses the Tangle. We have Hashgraph. I think it's called like gossip on gossip protocol. And so it's not necessarily just blockchain that's like the thing that's really working. There's other ways to make this work, and blockchain is potentially not even the most ideal one for, say, machine-to-machine economy or the Internet of Things. So distributed ledger technology, though, now this is very interesting, where we're able to have a shared ledger on public records or private transactions, but it's kind of like this. Really, it's funny. It's just like this big Microsoft Excel sheet that's just updating across the globe instantaneously. And this is the thing that's going to be around for a lot longer. And so just to be hedged in the blue chips, that's the way to do it, because things are always going to change, always adapt. Will Bitcoin be number 1? Will Ethereum be number 1 smart contract platform? Who knows? It's anybody's guess. We got to see how things roll. Like MySpace, you could say, was one of the first movers in social media. It did very well for a very long time. And then something just came along and was a little different, added a little extra value or in different ways. And then people just moved off, or it didn't become cool, or XYZ. And, we could easily see that happen. The same thing with Yahoo. I'm going to roll into a comment here uh, from on Reddit, actually. I'll share the screen. I found this comment very interesting. Then I want to push to the, maybe before that, I'll go into the comments from the group here. Jimmy Smoot says, what do you think about Libra? I'll make this brief so I can keep rolling, but I think a lot of people have a lot of aversion to Libra because it's not what you would call, the ideology of cryptocurrency, like this decentralized, distributed, ideological world. For sure, they say they're running as a nonprofit. It's for sure a for-profit thing because the people who are investing, Visa, MasterCard, all these massive companies, you have to pay $10 million to get into it, to become a validator. And as a validator, you reap the fees. So it's very much for profit, and then nonprofit structuring. I think the NFL is nonprofit. So just to kind of get an idea on what nonprofit really means. And I think it will bring a lot of ease of use and financial accessibility to people who want it. So that could be people who over half the world's population is underbanked. So limited or no access to bank accounts. That's massive. So for us to kind of sit on our ideological high horse and say, well, no, it's not distributed or it's for the corporations, like who are we to say that? If people need to send money, if a refugee is working in Canada and they need to send money to their family over in Syria or wherever they are, it's not in our place to try to combat that. We should be happy for them that they have a better solution, that they're not paying 10% fees to Western Union and having to wait, 4 to 5 business days or whatever the hell they have to do. That's ridiculous. So for sure, are they going to be monetizing our data and doing all these kind of nefarious things? For sure. But for us to sign up for that, it has to be because they're adding value into our lives. So people who want to sign up for it, sign up for it. It's like the Face app, that just got super viral, over 150 million downloads in 1 week. They stole all of your images and they have your name now. So guess what? But do we care? No. We still have 150 million people using this. So people say they care about their privacy, but they also don't really. It's all about this line between ideology and convenience. And so for people who can't afford to have an ideology, then convenience is for them. And Facebook Libra is that platform of convenience. And there was a big congressional hearing for them a little while ago, and I won't go into how that all went, but I think Libra serves a purpose. Will I use it? Very likely not. I love transacting with cryptocurrency, and I find it quite easy. The Ethos app is what I use quite frequently, and it's fantastic. But I think some people are really going to like it and find a lot of value from it. Jan Borgers says Ethereum 2.0 phase 0 scheduled to launch on January 3rd, 2020. So that's coming up soon. Well, relatively, and hopefully that doesn't get delayed again. Alex says, but where ETH is different is most all of the code is already done and on GitHub for testing. Yeah, ETH 2.0, 2.1, 3.0, all sorted already. Yeah. Cheese Shen says, have you looked into Hashgraph? Yep. I had a nice interview with Mance, or no. Oh, why am I blanking on his name? Mance Harmon, the founder of Hashgraph. Anyways, I did a big interview with him. So the guy is like an absolute genius, but really hard to hold a conversation with just because how smart he is. But you can check that out on YouTube, and we go really in depth into Hashgraph and its protocol, and where I see some hesitations on, I guess you could say, ease of public use and distribution. Obviously, they're a private blockchain, so you can't invest in them as a retail investor. So there's that. Not that that really matters for them; they don't care. Alex says Bitcoin layer 2 solutions will take over the same as tokens, databases, and the Internet of all. It'll be. I mean, layer 2 would be one example. Would be Lightning Network, so that's providing some nice upgrades, and it would be great to see more layer 2 solutions applied to Bitcoin for sure. Zach Dash is on. Nice. What's up, Zach? If any of you guys missed Zach's Bomb live stream or the watch party that happened for Bomb X, definitely go to check that out. If anyone, I'm sure everyone here knows what Bomb X is and Bomb, and to start as deflationary currency, and now they're doing something super cool, creating essentially a decentralized incubator to grow different projects. So this has just been such a cool, like they always like to say, an experiment, community social experiment from the get-go, and it's just evolved so beautifully. Zach Dash, awesome, smart guy, and he's the way that he's been able to rally a community behind this collective vision in a very altruistic and selfless way has been really admirable. So definitely check that out. Alex says, Neo is the China Hustle. Watch the Netflix documentary called China Hustle. Okay, I'll have to watch that out. I'll have to check that out. Back into the comments. I have to manually update. I need to find a better way to do this. Ethereum could end up being America Online, says Mike. Definitely. Like I say, who knows? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, what are some other kind of like token things, like what you like Engine's a leader in a sector, Polymath would be, Ravencoin would be a leader in a sector. Like they could all become outdated very, very quickly. And Alex says Ethereum will never be American Online. Tron and Ripple are the American Online. No one really ever hated American Online, so I don't know if Tron and Ripple are them, because there's a lot of hate for those two projects, that's for sure. LibraCoin is American Online, he says. Ben Barlow, what's up, Jeff? Hey, Ben. I just watched Ben and Joe's live stream last night. I think they drank a 6-pack each in CCT, so that was a fun time to watch. They're always a blast. Love those guys. Okay, right. So going to the thread here in Reddit that I thought was just kind of like a really fun read and provided a bit of perspective. A lot of us here, including myself, are fairly new into the investing world. Obviously, I'm not 60 years old. So this guy is. Oh, okay, we'll skip his username. Didn't notice that one. But he says, I'm an older trader / investor. The boom bust most younger traders are going through in crypto right now, I went through in the internet boom and bust. I also participated heavily in the Japanese stock frenzy, the 90s penny stock craze, the wireless ISP, the housing bubble, the junk boom bond, but the internet boom and bust is probably the most similar to crypto. What's crazy is that the companies, psychologies, and communities involved in all of these boom bust booms is always the same, and hindsight is always 2020. After each cycle, is always so obvious which companies would have been the best investment to make during the bust and which big names would slowly fade away. And I think that's something that we clearly see right now. You can just cruise CoinMarketCap, cruise the websites, cruise the white papers. You know what's going to be here for the long term or have a good chance, and you know what's just a pump and dump scheme. And he continues here. The former were just companies that kept grinding on very difficult and ambitious ideas that were detrimental to now, but would pay off in the future, where the latter ones just kept trying to ride and squeeze every bit of hype Tron that they acquired during the boom period. It always seems so unthinkable that the most hyped up company during this boom would either wither away after a couple of years after the bust ended, but in hindsight, it was so obvious. And when we saw the boom of 2017, here was a little snapshot of that, where everything was just blue sky breakout. All these things were going to be the next whatever. And now it's not the case. And to think that they're going to be revived from the grave is just fully incorrect. So it's only going to be the projects that really are driving substantial value into our ecosystem that are going to be around here. From a hype and community perspective, Bitcoin feels very much like the globe.com and then it's these other Netscape. I don't even know these other projects. That's how much of an infant I am. And then while Ethereum 2.0 feels like Google, I don't even know this project either. Am I that out of the loop? And Amazon. I have to look that up. So anyway, I've just found this so interesting how all these market cycles work in tandem, and just the market psychology, I think, is the thing that interested me the most about this post, is that we're all getting on this big greed cycle and everyone's feeling, yes, everything is going to succeed, everything is going to the moon, but in reality it's only a select few. 95% of companies, I believe is the stat, fail. And I'd say it's more in crypto because the startup cost is so low. Launch a token, build a white paper, build a website. What's the cost for that? You're looking at less than $5,000 all in, and then you pay your team in tokens. So it's like anybody can start up a company. It's incredibly easy. And so, and not so much with like the brick and mortar space where you take out a 1-year lease or whatever it may be. So I mean, much more than 95% of crypto projects dying. So if you're holding, if you're holding some heavy alt bags in projects that, aren't looking so hot, they're outside the top 300, it may be time to reallocate to a project like Ethereum, which has a much higher chance of riding back up that Satoshi wave and being able to capture that. Right. And so here's Ricky. He says, what are your thoughts about Augur? I looked into buying the rep token. I'm only looking for the best ROIs. And I think this really plays into what I'm talking about here. So if you look at the volume on Augur, as just like a very specific case here, it's super low. Not lots of people use it. It's a great idea. It seems cool. Seems like a lot of people would use it, but in practice, no one really is. And what are their marketing efforts that are being pushed out to the mass population? I haven't seen much. It feels like it's slowing down. It's not gaining any momentum. And if the project isn't gaining momentum, I'd be out 100%. A cool idea, but I find it so dangerous to get emotionally attached to ideas and concepts. One that really bit me in the ass personally was Polymath. Because I love the concept of security tokens, and I personally believe that security tokens are going to far surpass the market cap value of utility tokens and payment coins combined within easily the next 5 years. So I'm like, okay, I just want to get in on every security token project I possibly can. So I'm going to get in on Polymath. Well, here's the catch: is Polymath got crushed. They're at about $1.50. I probably bought in around in between 50 cents and $1, somewhere in there. But now they're sitting around 5 cents. But I've just been holding it because I'm like, no, this is the security token thing. And now it's just so salty in my mouth. But live and learn. And now it's provided a really valuable lesson that utility tokens are inherently worthless in a lot of these projects. Let's say Polymath was selling equity tokens. I'd be much more comfortable holding those. But these utility tokens, first of all, what is the token used for? Let's use Polymath as an example. The token is used for issuances on their platform. Okay, great. Well, how many issuances have they actually done? The answer is less than 120. So, and what's the cost? The cost, I forget. The cost is not astronomically high, so you don't need that many tokens to spend. And then as soon as somebody receives the tokens, then they'll just go and flip them for Ethereum anyways, likely. So Polymath has just really underperformed in my books, and that's one thing that I was really bullish on for a long time. But I think that's the magic of not being emotionally attached, is that you can just say, you know what, I made that decision, messed up, time to reallocate. And so now something that I'm very keen on is when projects are doing token equity offerings in their company, and there's not a lot happening in the space in that regard right now. And that's why I'm really excited about 2 projects. This is just blatant shill right now. But one is Pref Logic. That's going to be a mass retail tokenized. So it's a security token issuer for the retail. So if you're trying to tokenize on Polymath or Ravencoin, it's costing, or Harbor or Securitize, easy $50,000, blink of an eye. With hold on a second here. Am I still live? Seems like got an error message pop up. Yeah, it looks like I'm still good. Where was I? Oh yeah, and so Pref Logic is just infinitely less expensive. $10,000, kind of like turnkey. You're all in. You've created a tokenized security, and you got all your legal in line, and you got a website built and a pitch deck for investors. It's incredible. And so they're looking to push this out to the masses, rather than platforms like Polymath, Securitize, who are just kind of going for those couple big players. In my books, it's just the wrong way to go about it, or a different route that I don't see as lucrative. And then of course, we're looking at, I'll be transparent about it. Nothing's happening, nothing's set in stone, but on Uptrend, we're definitely looking to do a security token offering for the equity in the company and turn it in more of the direction of a decentralized autonomous organization where equity holders are then granted, a percentage voice and, where is this platform actually moving? I think it would be the coolest thing to have a social media platform that's distributed amongst the entire world, that's owned by the people, governed by the people, and goes in the direction that the people want. So that's where we're going. And now people won't just be holding one-up tokens, which give utility on the platform, but they can actually hold the equity in the company. So as the value of the project goes up, the value of their token goes up, because there's a distinct it's uncorrelated, I feel, the value of the company, or it's lightly correlated, and the value of the utility token. I just don't think it's direct, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'll hop into the comments. There are a few. He comments, it's still too early to pick them out. We're still years behind. So many promising projects. Let us remember that this will be a global market, 24/7, 365. And most of them aren't even 2 years old. Yeah. Only 2,000 cryptocurrencies, and we do not even have a nation area specific coins apart from China, Russia, or US. Altcoin market will be huge. I mean, I agree and disagree on some parts here, because I feel like it's not too early to pick out some true winners, or at least put a wager on what you feel is going to be successful in the future. Like, let's say Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin, and a couple others, whatever floats your boat. And then those are good bets right now. They're kind of leading the pack. And when that changes, then you just reallocate. So I definitely don't think it's too early. I wouldn't be sitting on the sidelines being like, well, I'll wait for things to mature and develop, because then you've missed the boat. And I think the altcoin market will be huge, but I don't think it's going to be huge and stupid like we've seen before. I think there's going to be way too much selling pressure the next time around, because people have learned, and we got a lot of retail interest in 2017, and I don't think there's that many more people with that much capital that are going to lose, because the people who are like ready on the cusp to invest in these risky kind of things, they've already got hit. They've already learned their lesson. And I don't think there's going to be a big wave of people the next time, because everyone's kind of like buddies with someone. And so let's say someone like person B didn't get in on the first wave, and in 2017, and then they get in on, let's say, the 2019 wave. Well, their friend is going to say, yo, dude, like, take profits. I learned my lesson here. And I think that's going to happen. Whereas before, cryptocurrency, it's this new thing. It's, who knows, the sky's the limit. For example, like security tokens, there's $250 trillion of assets in the world ready to be tokenized. Where's the limit there? It's insanity. And I think that's how we felt with utility tokens and smart contract platforms. Like, we're rebuilding the internet. What is the value to that? And I feel the value to that is trillions. And so, for 10, 20, $50 billion market cap for Ethereum, I thought that was like, oh yeah, I could see that being relevant, and I think there's more room to grow, and I think that's where everyone else was too, and we all just got slammed. So Dinesh says Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin are going to be around for a while. I would agree with that, although I always debate on the value of Litecoin. It kind of seems like a test net for Bitcoin, really. It's just like a couple steps ahead. It's kind of like testing the waters, and then Bitcoin goes for it. So if you're just looking for a payment coin, because that's like what Litecoin is trying to do, it's just like, oh, we're a better payment coin. I don't know why you wouldn't go with something like Nano. Robert says Link. So obviously Chainlink just partnered with Google. I believe it was Google. No, who the hell was it, guys? Comment below. Google, or I forget the company. They had a big partnership. It was either like Google or Microsoft. But and so they're kind of allowing data to go from on-chain to off-chain, off-chain to on-chain. And I think that's a very valuable resource. It's just not a sector that particularly interests me in investing in. I don't think it's proprietary. That's why. That's why I would never invest in Chainlink, because I think it's a technology that's easy to build, relatively easy to build, and they don't have anything proprietary on them. Like Ethereum, their proprietary thing would be, well, we have a bunch of projects already on Ethereum, so Neo, what's up? Like, you don't really have much. Whereas Chainlink is like, well, we do data transfers, and then this other company comes in, they're like, we do data transfers cheaper and faster, and then Chainlink's like, oh, shit. Well, we're out of business. So Jonathan says, I've always thought Bitcoin would remain much more dominant during the next bull run. Or maybe specified projects will do well. Maybe privacy coins. Yeah, who knows? I mean, I'm a proponent for alt season for sure. I think the greed in the market is just palpable, and that there's no way that it won't run up again. And everything I think we can agree on works in cycles. Everything works in cycles. And right now we're seeing a big cycle to Bitcoin dominance. And eventually we're going to see a cycle back down to alt season. It's just natural, up, down, up, down. I think the quote is like, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme. And that's what we're going to see. You know, we won't maybe see the all-time highs, but we're definitely going to be seeing a breakout. So myself personally looking to stack extra Satoshis, as Bitcoin is not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. That's like a good coin to be holding. I'm going to be riding some alts for sure, but intelligently. And then he says, yeah, so Jonathan says privacy coins maybe. And I think, you know, for people who are looking to keep their finances secret and their capital gains secret, privacy coins, man, that's the way to do it. I personally don't do the privacy coin game myself in like a malicious way. Just have projects going on in crypto, and I feel like if I was going to, there's a higher likelihood that I'd get audited than the everyman. So I just don't want that to happen. But for the everyman, privacy coins, I don't know. I might be tempted. Dinesh says Grin. I never even like looked much into Grin, honestly. Chi says the STO market is just starting. You need to have some patience too. Fully agree. The liquidity on T0 is still absolutely minimal. So here's a tip too. T0 is owned by Overstock, and so you can buy Overstock stock publicly. It's a publicly traded company on the stock market, and it's actually just starting to run up right now. Which I'm pretty heavy in Overstock and Hive blockchain in terms of like publicly traded blockchain stocks. Blah blah blah. None of this is financial advice. There's a disclaimer. But yeah, STO market heating up in a big way. And I can't emphasize enough how much I think security tokens are going to blow utility tokens and payment coins out of the water. It's going to be ridiculous. Everything has value. Utility tokens value. Payment coins have value. I'm just talking in sheer market cap. Security tokens are going to be absolutely massive. Roy says, Cardano. Oh man, I gotta find this image of Charles Hoskinson. So obviously Cardano has been in development for 78 years now, and hasn't released anything. And then Charles Hoskinson on Twitter, it'll take me too long. My computer's too slow to pull this up. But he posts and he says, "I'm focusing on some bigger priorities right now." And then he posts a picture of him on a horse riding off into the sunset. It's just like, I don't know, man. Maybe your priority should be finishing this like $1 billion project. Ridiculous. I get it. Work-life balance. I go by that too. Blue collar crypto. We're coming into a little bear market cycle. I think the alts could continue to bleed. Why? Because we aren't 100% sure crypto is back. We need to come down and put a higher low on the weekly timetable in the very least. We aren't 100% sure crypto is back. What does that even mean? Crypto never left. Crypto never left, man. We've been developing, we've been building. Everything else is just TA and speculation. All you guys with your triangles and your support resistance lines, we're all just taking best guesses. So when people make objective statements, I'm just not a fan. I don't really know about this one. Crypto never left. Yeah, we need to come down and put a higher low on the weekly timetable. Like, Bitcoin rises 20% in like 12 hours, and then it flash crashes 90%. Like, TA is relevant and it works, but I think it's like we're not traditional Apple stocks here, and it works a little bit differently. Okay. Was it Oracle? Oh, okay, so that's the Chainlink partnership. But then she says he partners with Google. So I think Oracle is a subsidiary of Google. Apple juice with ice. This is a ginger beer, Nathan. Apple juice with ice would be great, though. Blue Collar Crypto says, what part of the cycle do you think we're in? I think we're in the first upward move on the next bull run. The market isn't sure yet, so I wouldn't be surprised if we drop a lot, but over the next 2 to 3 years, this has potential on all levels. Should be fun. I'm thinking altcoin season will follow a Bitcoin run, kind of like last time for a lot of the same reasons. Let me pull up an image here that I find. Oh, my computer's so slow. Check out the box mining Facebook page. He compares the current crypto move to the gold over a longer period of time, and side by side comparison. We're just coming out of that depression state of the market, and we're in that stage where it's like, I don't believe this is the real rally yet. And I'm kind of a perma bull, so I'm maybe biased, and I just see what I want to see. But that's what it looks like to me. I would not be surprised to see some higher levels very soon. B says Neo 3.0 will be the top. We'll see. We'll see. We need to get a lot more projects on there, that's for sure. And developers aren't developing too tightly on Neo right now. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Back to the comments. Robert says, my top STO coins. Yeah, so there's not much right now out there, Robert. Like I say, I'm really big on Pref Logic coming out right now. Other than that, Ravencoin and Polymath, you're just buying their utility token. So Pref Logic is fantastic because it's the only project where you can actually own equity in the company that's doing security token offerings. Like, when has that ever happened before? It's going to be the first time. They're going to do thousands upon thousands of issuances every year. So it's going to be a very profitable venture, to say the least. So that's where I'm at. Let me see here. Oh, someone commented on a Polymath competitor. Let's check it out. Oh, is this working? Token market. Let's see, tokenmarket.net. What was the rest of that? Oh, is the STO on a Polymath competitor. Okay, we'll have to check into that. My computer's just so slow. I have to have all that. You can see up here, I had all these things staged. I'm like, okay, here's what I want to talk about. So I could just open and click. But yeah, I want to be able to look at that page. I'll check it out in a little bit for sure. Thanks for that link. I appreciate it. Blue Collar Crypto responds, I mean, crypto is back. The rocket ship to all-time highs. Have you seen the chart to the next market psychology graph? I'm not trying to argue, bro. Neither am I. I think we all just have differences of opinions. Lots of respect both ways. There's lots of Bitcoin bears out there. There's a lot of folks suggesting that we'll fall even lower than 3K. That sentiment will affect things since we aren't sure crypto is back. And I mean, yeah, that's like everyone's personal sentiment adds to the buy and sell pressure. So that's just it. If people are bearish, then they sell or they short it. If people are bullish, they buy it. And so that's what we're seeing. We were already at, just over $3,000. And now we've rallied 3 times, 300% up, all the way back up to $10,000. So I don't think that we are that bearish anymore because, like I say, everything is really just buy and sell pressure, nothing more. OTC trades happen, obviously, but there's only so much volume on an OTC trade. So Alice comments, money to be made for sure. BJ comments, PungDX. It's the most legit real use case project in the space. I don't know about that. I think I haven't done enough research into PungDX, but that's a bold claim. That's a bold claim. I'll tell you what, I'll research it a little bit more before I kind of slam it. So anyways, what are we at? 45 minutes. Oh yeah, that's good enough. I just wanted to get on here saying, the altcoin market is, I feel, starting to heat up, and that it's a wise move to hedge yourself in the ones that are going to be around for a long time, to make educated gambles, that it's not that, if your total shitcoin bag is 20x away from its all-time high and Ethereum is 7x away from its all-time high, I'd be willing to wager Ethereum has a better chance of bringing in some profits. As always, not financial advice. I hate that I have to say that kind of thing. But yeah, I feel like this whole group is just about adding value to each other and learning and growing together. And so that's why I wanted to do this stream, just because I feel we have a real good opportunity here to, increase our stack of Bitcoins and, really profit on the next bull run if we do it wisely. And that simply holding these heavy bags, thinking that they're going to pump again like they did in 2017 is really foolish, or maybe misguided, or who knows, maybe you're right. But from what I see is that, when you're looking at, the dot-com boom or really any boom bust cycle, it's the tried true blue chip projects are going to stick around, and everything else is, it's just a high risk, maybe high reward gamble. But I mean, 7x gains on Ethereum, I think that's a pretty good return. And usually these pumps, they happen in less than a year. So like what we went from 10,000 to 20,000 within, I think it was like a week last time. So this isn't 700% in, let's say, a month played on the long end. That's pretty good, guys. You don't get that really anywhere else. Jordan comments, I think this may have been covered, but definitely a huge step for Bitcoin after the previously negative outlook coming out of China. And he posts the link. I can't open it. But yeah, I think, there's always going to be positive and negative news in regards to Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. And at the end of the day, it was interesting with Libra and how everyone in there, like the regulators and the Congress, were talking and saying, we really hate Libra, but Bitcoin, you can't stop it. You just can't stop it. And that's the case for a lot of these decentralized cryptocurrencies. They just cannot be stopped. They even commented and they said, China has put up firewalls to try to stop Bitcoin, and they haven't been successful. So, there's lawmakers in the United States recognizing that they really don't have much power to censor or stop, prevent. I mean, they can put in preventative measures on and off ramps, but if you have access to the internet, you're good, and you have access to Bitcoin. And then everyone says, well, what if there's no access to the internet? Well, then there's going to be a lot more problems in the world. And you can access Bitcoin. There's other ways to do it without the internet anyways, just through cell towers. So anyways, Ripple is a stable coin now, says B. Yeah, it's been pretty stable. And stable coins, I'm excited to see stable coins that aren't necessarily pegged to the US dollar, but are pegged to other global metrics and mathematics and algorithms. Blue Collar says, don't neglect the technical analysis. These crazy triangles help us protect our portfolios and maximize our profits. That's fair. And, if there's ever one TA indicator that I don't trade actively, but I love to watch and analyze the traders who do, just so I can, I guess you could say, follow them passively and see what their percentages are. Just always very interested in that. Anyways, that's a long way of saying the triangles are the one that work the best. Like the breakout always happens up or down. And so if I was going to be trading, I'd just be trading those triangles with like a tight stop loss set or something, and like a buy order right above, and I'd be like 50% in. It's just like the triangles are money. I love that indicator. Yeah, Robert comments DAI and Maker. I find that I don't want to even get into this. So many people love DAI and Maker DAO, and I just don't fully get it, because you're depositing Ethereum and then withdrawing less DAI. And if the price fluctuates too much, you lose it all. And then people say, well, no, then you could just invest your DAI into Ethereum. I'm like, well, couldn't I just leverage trade Ethereum then? Like, what's the value in that? I just rather leverage trade, and then it's safer, honestly, because I put stop losses and whatever in there. And I know some people are going to roast me on this analogy, what I just said. But I think Maker DAI will be really valuable. I just don't think it's valuable yet for my own personal use case, but it'll be really valuable when people can start putting up physical assets, like their homes or their cars, for loan, and then receive DAI for that, and then invest into Ethereum or whatever you want to do. So I think that's when it's going to get hyper valuable, when you can actually
when we have tokenized assets that we can collateralize for DAI, that's going to be hyper valuable. Right now, it's just like, I don't see a need to collateralize ether when I can just leverage trade or whatever the hell I want to do. Jordan says, these broadcasts are excellent, man. Do you do these regularly? Thanks. I appreciate it a lot. I do them sporadically when I feel inspired or if somebody wants to hop on with me. So if anyone feels like they want to hop on these live streams, it's always a lot easier to flow in the conversation when there's two people, and it's a lot more dynamic, and it doesn't just feel like a big rant. So if you're inspired, shoot me a message. I'd love to have them. And yeah, I like doing them regularly, but I don't know. Life's busy. Life's busy. All right. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. That's 50 minutes in. Don't want to scare away someone from, after the live stream is done, from trying to dip in and watch a little bit. So hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Check you next time.